2, 1.
All right. I'll order a regular session of the Chisholm City Council for March 9th, 2022. Good evening, everyone. First time back here in over 2 years. So, Stephanie, let's take a roll call. You're doing that? We have Margaret do that, or what?
Sure.
Let's see what we got going on the Zoom. People listening at home, just bear with us. We're doing a hybrid situation here where we have department heads are coming in via Zoom and councils in the council chambers, mainly because we're trying to get enough room in council chambers also. We'll try to get everybody linked up here, so we'll just take a minute to do that. So, Margaret, are you able to hear us?
I didn't catch that. What was that, Mayor?
Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, Margaret, would you do roll call for us, please?
Sure. Councillor Halverson.
Present.
Councillor Michelaraha. Present. Councillor Fountain. Absent. Councillor Lance.
Here.
Councillor Vaki.
Here.
Mayor Champa.
Here. Yeah. All right. Council adopt the agenda. So you have 3 items. Stephanie, let's talk a little bit about where we were going to put these. So, the beautification, I mean, class reunion work, where do you want to take that up? All right, we'll just take it as the last item on the talk about that. Where would we have the city attorney here? Like right after Katie?
Would be right after cases.
Right after you, okay. Katie, okay. So we'll do the attorney one with the this bond, conduit bonding resolution. And then where's Eileen? Right before you?
Yes.
And that would be right after the attorney, then we'll do the that meeting. By the way, that meeting that's not informational. We actually have to set that meeting, so it shows up on this little sheet. But it actually shows up as informational, but we actually have to set that date for them. So, council motion to accept the agenda with the 3 additions and the change to the addition with regard to that. Make that motion. It's kind of weird. I don't know how to do this. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that carries. It is adopted. Let's go on to pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, public participation. Let's move on to the reports. Where are you today? Ready, Travis?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening to everybody. I got a couple of things here. First off, I just attended a community foundation meeting. We talked a lot about the small class. There is going to be a small class breakfast fundraiser Friday at the all class for the community foundation. So it'll be at Jim's and it's breakfast. So it's not really a place to get breakfast in town. So it's got CCF. More info to come on that soon. switching gears to Kiwanis. Kiwanis has a couple of events. One is Miss Chisholm is starting up in April. So again, more information will be coming on that. And I am proud to announce breaking news that Chisholm is now in first place in voting for the splash pad. So that is as of this morning about 9 o'clock. So great job to the community for voting. Please continue to vote every day. I think there's 8 or 9 days left of voting. So please continue to vote every day. That's all I have.
Thank you, Charles. I forgot to vote today. I do that.
Yeah.
Diana, for tonight?
Good evening, it's great to be back.
Adam, report tonight?
Evening, everybody. Again, it's great to be back. The one thing I have to say is Chris Masucci, Fire Chief, 18 years of service this month. Congratulations, Fire Chief Masucci. And thank you for everything you do in our community. And Paul Brown, 5 years on the fire department. So, thank you very much. That's all I have for.
Good. Just a quick one for me, Sanitary Sewer District today. We wrote, Senator David Thompson had a lot to do with helping getting funding for that sanitary sewer district. So the district wrote a letter thanking him for his support of that plan, which is getting retirement coming up. We also we got a little over 5,000 in rebates having to do with LED lighting like we do in the city out there, so that was nice. And one more thing I was gonna say. That's good then. So yeah, so I think that's all I have. Plants running good. They're new employee we hired a little while back, staying up to speed, so. But HRA meeting in Tuesday next week, so following the report. All right. Move on. So let me just look at the screen here and see who's on with us. I see. Let's start with the ambulance director. We'll see how we're able to hear Jess on there. Good evening, Jess. You got a report tonight?
Good evening, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me, and no official report tonight.
I'll say anything for Jess. Probably easier to let them work on that volume a little bit. Is that the highest we can make that volume, or is it going to be here with you?
Yeah, what I'm doing is switching who's muted.
You got a tough job. Okay. All right, we'll fight through. We'll work it there. Thank you, Jess. Fire Chief Chris is up there. Good evening. Report tonight.
Good evening, Council. Yeah, I have a quick report. We're at 32 runs through the end of the year, or through February. So we're on our average. Firefighter Lance and Lieutenant Olson had a lead on a grant for some training for us, and they put in for it, and we actually got it. So it's an 80-20 reimbursement grant for our hazmat training that we're going to be doing in May. So thanks to those guys for doing the footwork on that and hearing about it. Next council meeting, we'll have our hiring committee recommendations for our new hires for the next council meeting for you. That's all I have. Nothing.
All right. I think I see Vern up there.
Mr. Mayor, no official report, just let the council know we do have one candidate that successfully passed background. Now we're waiting on the psychological and physical, and hopefully that's done in the next couple of weeks. I have a name to present at the next council meeting.
Police Chief. All right. I get feedback. Eh? Building official Mandy report tonight. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. No formal report tonight.
Thank you. Council, anything for the Mandy? getting better back there. Engineer, Jim, you got a report tonight?
I do not, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
I'll say anything for Jim. He's got a few items on the agenda tonight, but other than that. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Public Works. Larry, report tonight?
Evening, everyone. Just a few things. We certainly, as you all probably appreciated, the storm that missed us, so that was nice. We're able to start catching up on pushing back the corners and working on some alleys and wiping off some streets. The wiping off the streets is going slow. It takes till about noon, and then we get back from lunch at 12:30, and we hit it hard from 12:30 to 3:30. Now we're able to wipe off those streets, and then when we do that this time of year, we don't have time during a regular snowstorm, but when we go do this, we just do small sections, and we actually clean up in front of people's walkways and driveways and such there with the big chunks of ice and stuff. So we do that, and we're getting there. I know we've gotten some calls, and like I said, we got a small window and isolated areas that we do, but we'll eventually get all the way around there. And we've been clearing catch basins because we expect some runoff next week. A nice slow melt now would be great. And we're dealing with frozen water lines, and we continue to work through that and policy and working with contractors and such. So if you have any frozen water line concerns, please reach out to us right away. If you've had problems in the past, you should probably have your water on by now, and we should know about it. So please reach out to us. We're here to help you. So any frozen water line concerns, please reach out right away. I was able to order a tanker of fuel before the latest increase, so saved a few $1,000s there. I'm sure you've seen that at the pump like everyone else. And then thanks to Mandy and Jim, was able to work through some of the stuff on that salt shed, and Stephanie as well as and I'll bring that to council shortly. So working on those things, so when we get into summer and when we start our work, that we can get right to it. So anything for me.
Thank you, Larry. Council, I want to follow up a little bit on what Larry said with regard to the frozen water lines. Apparently, when you have a really dry year, Marty, you might know something about this too, you actually can get more frost in on a wet year because of the way the ground works. And we have a real concern right now. We're getting some freezing in areas that are normal. And when we had 3 lines freeze up on Friday and Saturday, dental office, bank, and a private resident. Person out of Evelyn was unavailable, and the person out of Hibbing was sick. And we have a policy, we don't thaw out our own lines anymore because the League of Minnesota Cities doesn't want us to. So we had a pretty serious discussion with the League of Minnesota Cities this morning, the attorney did. And we're trying to figure out where that line is, where at some point we gotta go do it. You know, yeah, every minute you leave these things frozen, they're harder to do. And so we're trying to, we were able to get a, what do you call it? You sign off. What's the document you sign off so that you're giving away your waiver for the residents to sign? But we're trying to determine with the League of Minnesota Cities, you know, at some point, if it's our line that's froze and they're losing business, at some point we're creating an issue too, you know. So we're trying to
service lines are freezing.
Yeah, the service lines are freezing. So we're trying to determine, so when does the city go do it? There's got to be some line. So we're trying to force the League of Minnesota Cities to say, okay, so if you can't find anybody, you got frozen lines, we got to let you do it. We got to support you. And it's about insurance. So we're trying to get a hard document, because you can't leave, you know, there was a resident, he went from Friday to Monday without water. We had a dental office that had to close for a day, and the next day we got them temporary water, and we were able to get the person in the next day. We thawed them off first. Like I said, drive-in bank for 3 days. They were out, but they were closed over the weekend. So, but Monday morning they weren't on. So it's very unfortunate. But you know, if the whole iron ring starts freezing up and these contractors are busy, we got to be able to do it. So
I don't know, back in whatever it was, 2013, we had like 100 days below zero that winter, and it was way worse than this even.
Yeah.
And we
well, the city instructed people to just leave their water trickling, and that can resolve it.
Yep.
And it's been a really cold winter, even with a lot of snow cover, we're still gonna be freezing, but if somebody's water line is over, say, where they plow, the frost can go down.
Yeah.
10 feet. So we should maybe be going around and doing spot checks with just the temperature. If the water temperature is 33 degrees and they're not gonna be in all weekend, and it's gonna be like it is.
Yep.
I mean, we should start instructing people to trickle, and we just absorb the cost of the water. I don't know how we did it, but somehow they're able to calculate.
Yeah, that's Larry's concern. Him and I we actually all discussed this today, that, I mean, if he comes in, you know, Monday morning and he's got 10 frozen lines, we gotta get to work. People have gotta run their water.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a big problem, or we're gonna have an issue. But you have to control how much they're running it, because you don't want to drain the water tower, you don't have water too, you know, so.
No,
Yeah, so,
it's not good. It doesn't have to be much.
So, you know, just to follow up with what he said, it's definitely, we're a little bit concerned right now. And he said with a little sunnier weather coming here during the days over the next week, that it actually forces the frost down supposedly. So, so we're concerned about it.
Can you speak close to your microphone when you guys talk? They're having a hard time picking it up. Please.
We're so used to being a foot away from our computer screens, hey? All right, so we'll move on. Larry, did you think of anything else that just jumped out at you when I went on a rant there?
No, I appreciate it, Mary. You explained it very well, Marty, too. So we're concerned next week, and we'll continue to work through it. So like you say there, we don't want to jump off the cliff yet and drain the water tower with everyone running water all night. So we'll just, we'll continue to monitor and try to reach out to folks. But if there's any concerns, just please have them reach out right away.
I'll give you a little time. When I ask for you guys to give your report, if you're going to speak, just give Steve 5 seconds to switch gears. It'll be helpful. So we'll move on. Is Tammy up there?
Yes, I am.
We'll move on to Rec Direct.
I can't hear you, but hopefully you can hear me right now. Just a quick report, the skating rink has been closed for the season due to the sun and the deteriorating ice. It's just not worth trying to get it back with temperatures getting high. Typically, we're closed by now. So that's all I have for a report.
Thank you, Tammy. Council, anything? All right, we'll move on. I see Katie is up there. So Katie, did you have a report tonight? Good evening.
No formal report other than what's on the agenda.
Stephanie, this Michelle that's up there, that's the attorney taking Brian's place. Is that correct?
No, she's from United Way.
Oh,
Colleen Kostucher.
sorry.
It's okay.
I should have got this straight. Let me just write these names down.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Oh, is she on with us?
I'm on right now, yep.
So Colleen, is there any report that Brian wanted you to share with us tonight?
You know, I'm prepared to answer any questions that you have or council may have. I don't have a formal report, but I've been briefed on everything that's on the agenda, so.
Did you hear what she said there?
She can answer any questions if she has any. She's
Anything
briefed.
for our attorney tonight, Council?
She's briefed on the agenda for this evening.
Okay. Colleen, we're definitely going to have some questions when we get to the conduit bonding resolution. I don't know that we all understand what that is. So well, that's later on in the agenda. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Clerk Treasurer, Eileen, report tonight.
Good evening. Hopefully everyone can hear me. I just have a couple things. The accountant, Misty Carpenter, and I are working hard on creating a training program for our new ClearGov budgeting software. We hope to have all department heads trained by the end of March. So it's really exciting. We're incorporating project management principles in this particular project. So it's been exciting being able to utilize that skill and teaching someone else to use I have scheduled weekly meetings to discuss financial matters. It serves as our opportunity to exchange information about fiscal issues impacting the city, how the city is performing in regard to the budget, and planning for upcoming needs. So our first meeting yielded capital improvement schedules that were sent out to all the department heads. I've received a few back. Thank you very much. As well as a discussion about ARPA funds. So it seems to be a really productive meeting, and I'm looking forward to having this with Stephanie going forward. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. Council, any questions on that? Stephanie, report?
I have no formal report today.
So council, as I'm listening to I don't know that we should work on this volume. I think myself, I think maybe the next meeting, we let people sit in their offices and we bring them in one at a time, or we bring a couple in, or sit out in the hallway. If they don't really have anything that, if they want to do a oral report, maybe we could do some of that to mix and match, but I don't think we need to fight with this. I think it's crazy. So, agree? Seems, yeah.
Are we, side question, are we tracking levels to the point where they could just be in here?
We're just kind of following what the rules are going on all over the country right now in the state, and they're backing off, at some point. We can nearly bring them in here, with this, with a little distance and stuff. So, with the staff we have up there, they could sit around in a room here and we won't have that big of an issue. So,
okay.
So I think we can, I think we should look at that. Oh, sorry about that. Probably the least are the one you can hear the most because they have a big mouth. So, all right, so let's move on to our consent agenda. Okay, consent agenda, these are your list of bills. If you didn't pick them up there, they were in your in basket up front. Communications, which are the fire department minutes, park and rec board minutes, library report, minutes of the previous city council meeting of February 23, 2022, payroll and overtime. Looking for motion to accept the consent agenda.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Adam. Second.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Further discussion, corrections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Is Jim in his office?
Yeah, do you want him to come
Why
in?
don't you have him come in? Jim, can you come in? Turn right now. They're in the building. Jim, so we're on your first item, resolution number 0322-33, plans and specs and order advertisement for bids for street reconstruction project.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. We did hold the public hearing tonight in advance of the council meeting with regards to our 2022 street rehabilitation or our mill and overlay project. What we're presenting to you tonight in this resolution is approving the plans and specifications which are on the table in front of you, and trying to receive your authorization to bid this project. What we have for a tentative schedule is to receive bids on this project on April 6th, bring it to your council meeting on April 13th. And as I mentioned during the public hearing portion of the process, the engineer's estimate on the 40 blocks that we've been working on since last year is now a little over $1 million. What we have in our budget is about $555,000. I'm kind of reserving or estimating $55,000 will cover overhead costs, engineering, inspection, those types of things. So we've got about $500,000 to spend on the project, although today we think we found another funding source that will get us in excess of another $100,000 to spend for this. But once we receive the bids, and they're being bid as alternate bids for the different streets that we've done, so we can go through with your input as well as that from staff and kind of put a priority. How much can we get done for the dollars that we have available? So following those bid receipt on April 6th, we'll try to put together again what we think are the priorities that we can accomplish for the funds that we do have available. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you have, but I would recommend adoption of the attached resolution.
Jim, I have a quick question.
Certainly.
We do this all the time, so I should know this answer, but, so the resolution says approve plans and specs and order the advertisement for bids. Sort of, the plans and specs already done? Did I already do that? Oh,
They're
they're
sitting on that table. There's my set for the mill and overlay, and just to the left of that are those for Katie's for the library tuck pointing, which we'll go over a little bit later. So they are available. We'll set those in the office with Mandy and Tammy. So both sets are available for the public or contractors, whoever wants to review them.
Okay. I mean, it's a pretty basic project, but it's something bigger, especially our in-house engineering. You might want to look at mill and overlay is pretty straightforward, but so the question is, do we normally have them ahead of time?
Usually I bring them to this meeting, so they are available.
Okay.
I haven't had anybody read them yet, but they look at the plans, but not read the spec.
We just hope the contractor does.
If he doesn't, we remind him what's in there.
We try to. Council motion to adopt resolution 0322-33 to approve plans, inspection, order advertisement for bids for that street reconstruction project, or rehab project, sorry.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Travis. Second.
Support.
Thank you, Adam. Further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Good, Marty.
Jim, question. SDH had an estimate of 120,000 in their feasibility report for the engineering. And I know you're thinking it's more like 55. What do you think is difference?
Well, part of that, Marty, is with what we spent last year of that in the public hearing. I was talking about that. And part of that engineering fees have already been paid.
Okay.
And that includes construction inspection as well.
So 55, you think is still roughly a good number for what we're going to be seeing for remaining fees? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then a thought occurred to me during the public discussion and some concern over the 8th Avenue area and, potentially not the greatest soil conditions there, but we don't have the ability right now to go in. It was 2004, they overlaid 2nd Street Northwest by the ball fields.
Okay.
Just north of the wall there.
Okay.
And granted, it was an old concrete street, but I think they added, there's actually like a geo mat you could put right in the pavement, some sort of a geo or pavement mat that went right in with the bituminous. And it seemed to hold up pretty well and worked pretty well.
I remember about
I don't know more.
Phillips 66 had some
fibrous additions, or it was actually maybe a mat. I don't know, but it might be, maybe it's something that'll help us gain some longevity based on cost.
We'll have to research that one.
Anyway, that occurred to me during the public hearing. That was just
good point.
my only comment. So that's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Don't say anything else? Any other questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
So the next item is just informational. What the current garbage rates are from Larry. It's kind of hard to hear on here. Larry, I don't know, do you want to chat about this? If you do, just give Steve 5 seconds to switch from media. So basically, it's what the rates currently are, so he just wanted to make sure that it's issued to the residents and the businesses in town, so we'll move past that. Parks and Rec, we'll have to have Tammy come on this. Let's see, what's the first Parks and Rec rental policy? Stephanie, are you gonna talk about this at all too, to help her out, or I know you guys thoroughly discussed this, or you want me to just turn it over to Tammy?
Tammy. I can assist if she needs.
So Tammy, give Steve a few seconds after I'm done, but go ahead and talk about your rental policy.
Yes, this is something we probably should have had a long time ago. It's just a policy, so if people want to rent the bocce ball courts or the track or any area that Parks and Rec oversees. That way we can charge them if need be, or council can waive fees in certain circumstances, like with the walking trail, if there's an event. But it gives us a little bit more control of who uses what, and if alcohol's in part of the request, then they would have to go through the PD. There's an application on the 5th page of the document that gives you all the information, and then there's a liability release form on page 6.
Tammy, if you don't mind, I did receive a release of liability for use of facilities from the attorney, which we would also like to include. It's just the release of liability form to add that.
Motion to adopt this policy with the addition of the release of liability that the attorney issued as well. Could you get that to the council so they can look at it in case they want to bring this back next meeting and make a change to that? Yes. So we can move forward. Council looking for motion to adopt the rental policy. I think we probably have some people looking to rent things, so it might be good.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Marty. Second for that.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Tammy's other item, Hibbing School District request for the track while theirs is being repaired. Tammy?
Okay, yes, I had a conversation. They are looking at, I asked them, finally got through to them on the phone, and I asked, are you going to be hosting any meets? They said they would be just only co-hosting meets with the Chisholm School District, and they would be using the track for about an hour, hour and a half, busing the kids over. So I would recommend that we approve this to be good stewards to our neighbors. We never know when we may need to use one of their facilities. Yeah, and then we could use the rental policy and have them complete and return that to me now that you have approved it.
Council looking for a motion to allow the Hibbing School District to use the track. I think there's a few different letters in here that nothing's conflicting with anything in Chisholm, and Chisholm is pretty much signed off, but that they're not having it. So I think that's an in-kind gesture from Chisholm to you. So.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Second for that.
Support.
Thank you, Adam. Further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I couldn't quite hear Tammy, but it sounds like they can work out their schedule with the Chisholm track team to make sure there's shared times or alternating times or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, I did verify that with Tammy that they would work out with the Chisholm.
And they are going to practice every day on our track? Is that my understanding too?
Is it
practice and track meets?
Correct. They probably will be practicing probably with the Chisholm kids.
I just assumed that would be the
Yes,
case.
yes, and the meets would be co-hosted with Chisholm.
there that kind of leads you to believe they're all working together, so. All right, I have a motion support, no further discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. That motion carries. We do have Katie on here. Katie, when you come on, why don't you just talk to all three items and then we'll take them up. Basically, this is almost the same job as last year, I believe. And maybe just talk about what the whole intent is and if there's any real changes.
Hi, yes, good evening. So this is a position that we have had in the past. Last year we did not due to COVID and just our numbers being a little bit low. But our numbers really have been ramping up this year, and we're anticipating just our extra patronage that we typically have in the summer months due to our summer breeding program, and just in general, we have a lot of extra patronage in the summer. And so it's just going to be some added help with those duties at the library. Otherwise, there's really nothing different from previous years. So first we'll be looking at approving the job description, and then moving on to what's next? Appointing the hiring committee for the library interns. So we'll put together a hiring committee, which I believe Steph, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Steph is willing to be on this hiring committee with both Debbie and Michelle, as I will probably not be around when this person is hired. I'm going to be taking a little bit of time off in the next couple months. And then the last piece is just the approval to go out for, to advertise the job.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
Council, we've done this in the past, so it's pretty straightforward. Stephanie, you got anything to add to that?
No, just that it is a budgeted item.
Okay, so council, the first thing we'd be looking at doing is approving the job description for the library intern, which is on page 28, 29. So I'll look for a motion to approve the job description.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Second for that.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Appoint the hiring committee. It looks like in Katie's absence, Stephanie will serve as our staff person with Debbie and Michelle, who are her employees down at the library, to look at the applicants for this position. Make the recommendation that we do put together that hiring committee. Look for that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Cheyenne. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. And the last item under this one is advertise for library intern. Looking for motion to advertise for the position.
Motion.
Thank you, Travis. Second.
Support.
Thank you, Adam. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, the last one, I'll turn it back to Katie. She can talk a little bit about her appointing project, try to get as much of it out as we can. Jim, are you familiar with her appointing project as well? So why don't you come up to the podium? We'll let Katie say about her project first, and then you can add whatever you want, and then maybe you can help the council answer questions. So
happy to.
Katie, I'll turn it over to you.
Perfect, thank you. This scope of work, Mandy, Jim, and I have been working with Kara from ARI, and I'm actually going to lean on Jim a little bit just to help articulate kind of our group thoughts on this, if that's okay with him being present in the room.
Last discussion that Mandy, Katie, and I had with Kara a couple weeks ago, in terms of trying to put together the bid package, Kara indicated to us from using their consultant that's helping them put together the estimate on this project. The plans and specs are on the table in front of us as well, but they've broken it into 5 packages or bid schedules, if you will, really just 4. The base bid is for the entryway into the library as well as the north wall, or the one facing towards the drive-up bank facility. Those 2 items, they are sure will be covered by the $220,000 that's in the budget. Then they have bid the other 3 walls, east, south, and west walls, as alternate bid schedules. At this point, we have not received the cost estimate for those 3 alternate bids. But what we are proposing is to receive bids on that whole package, see, like with a mill and overlay, how much can we get done with the monies that we do have, but also helps us to see if maybe we can pick up another wall for that $220,000, but also to help us if we need to carry this project forward into another year or something, what that remaining cost estimate will be. It'll also help us because, again, today, in doing some research and investigation, we found that we may be able to get some additional financing to help finance this tuck pointing project as well. So that's kind of the essence of it. And once we receive these bids, and basically we've got it on the same schedule as the mill and overlay, receiving bids on April 10th, bringing it back to council on the 13th. And at that point, we'll see all the numbers, see what we can fit into that budget. There's several alternatives that we, I guess, want to encourage. It'd be nice if we could do the whole project, if we had the money to do the whole project, because we only go through one mobilization. It's going to save money in the long run. We don't have to rebid, possibly get a different contractor. And with what we see in prices with materials and so forth, it may be going up. So part of our hope was with the council decision on April 13th, how much of this project can we finance this year? And is there a possibility that, you know, it only takes another $50,000 or $100,000 above what we've got budgeted for this year? There may be a couple alternatives. Can we take funds or transfer funds within this year's budget, or we indicate to the contractor, we'll pay you, you know, what we've got for funds this year, but the council's going to commit to next year's budget to pay off the balance, such that they can include that cost of their cash or their financing charge. If the project's supposed to be done by the end of August or something, whenever it gets done, they can add their financing charges right in with the mobilization so that we can get it done. But again, our hope is we'll bring that back to council, so you can make that decision as to, can we only do so much this year and we've got to put it off and rebid it in another year? Or is there some way of getting it all awarded this year? And then how do we pay for that, whether it's done this year or part of it has to be paid out of next year's budget?
Yeah, and
Stephanie?
too, I just want to add that we are actively seeking additional grant funding for this project too. So when the bid comes in, we'll have that ability to go out. And we have identified some areas where we could get grant funding for it. So like Jim said, to alleviate having that mobilization cost twice for the same, virtually the same project.
Or if we have to do it in 2 different bid packages, we've got legal costs of re-advertising. Right. We may get a different contractor, different quality of work, we don't know. So we just wanted to lay those options out, but we hope to bring all that relative information back to you so you can make an informed decision on how do we want to proceed once we receive the bids. Thank you.
I think in this case, it makes a lot of sense. You know, I think the school just did this similar stuff to all their buildings in the last few years. And I didn't recognize any of those contractors at all. So I don't think they come from around here.
It's pretty specialty work, yeah, from what I understand.
So the mobilization probably is a huge item. So you're looking to approve the plans and specs that we have here and go out for bids.
Please.
Okay. I was looking for that motion.
I'd make the motion if we could maybe clear up a few discrepancies in these plans and specs.
Yeah.
there's at alternate 4 is windows, and I don't see any reference to window work on the drawings or in the spec. I couldn't find any scope or pictures or pointing to these windows or what, you know, trim, what, you know, it's not, I couldn't find.
I think it's in the notes, Marty, if I remember our discussion with Kara a couple days ago. I think up in the corners, they've got either trapezoids or some shape up in the upper right-hand corner with these notes.
Oh, yeah, but number 3 doesn't show up anywhere.
These notes, I think, are the same on every page. It shows up on some of those pages, but not on other pages.
Well, the notes are there, but it doesn't really show which windows or what. And I couldn't find anything in the spec regarding what the window work is going to be. And I'm just concerned that we're gonna have an open-ended scope or some dispute over.
I think if we look at those plans, I think those little numbers that we see, but they're a little bit hard to see. There's number ones, because I know there was some painting that was needed to be done besides, you know, brick replacement or the tuck pointing and so forth. There's about 3 or 4 notes that are up.
Yeah, I used my magnifying glass and I was able to read it.
That doesn't get better with age either.
No.
I hear Marty.
But I couldn't find any reference to windows either on the drawings or specs as to where and what they're supposed to do and what they're bidding on. It's hard to bid on anything if you don't have a drawing or a scope. Is in the note. That's about it. I'd like to see that number 3 somewhere. I don't see it in there, Marty.
As to where it's on the drawings, I am not that familiar with the drawing, but the numbers are a little bit bigger.
This is fine, but there's a 3 here in the notes, but there's no 3 anywhere on the drawings. It's all 1s and 2s. 1s and 2s, and well, here's this notice for the stonework. So anyway, if you could somehow clarify with ARI what the scope is for these windows in the spec and on the drawing, then I think it's.
Oh, if I may.
Yeah, I think that is. Maybe is that the entrance? No.
Katie might, I don't know if Katie has.
Yeah, if I may.
And remember, I'll put.
Look on the page, the top of it. 1.1. North elevation, are those 3 up there on the archway?
Correct.
Yeah, if that archway looks like a 3 on there.
Oh,
yeah,
there it is. Okay.
Yeah, that's where it is.
So that's the extent of it, I guess.
Yeah.
That's it, huh?
The note, remove it, and as part of the base bid,
Okay.
remove and replace absorbable portion of damaged and missing window trim
There it is.
with new to match existing.
Okay. Thank you. That clarifies that. Then the only other thing I noticed, there was something way in the back of the spec. One place said no work when it's below 40 degrees, but then some other place it says 50 degrees. I just don't want to have the contractor get sideways because of things like that.
What I remember our discussion, I think it was 50 degrees at least for the caulking, if I remember, or the tuck pointing. I think they were looking at
It's under section 0480-00, and it's also in 0490-10. What site conditions for masonry work. So if we could get that cleared up, that would be nice.
Yeah, we'll have Mandy and Katie follow up on that
And
as well.
then there's something on page 3 of 6 in the very first section. Section 1.09, there's a bunch of question marks. Looks like they were gonna fill it in, but it never got filled in. Version 2.
What page is that, Marty?
Page 3 of 6.
On what part of
1.09.
Okay.
It's the very, very first section.
Okay, we got it noted then, so we can get that corrected or even before.
If we could make sure we
on the street, so.
make sure we understand what was supposed to be on page 3. And then I guess the temperature issue is back towards the back again. It's in section 0480-00, and it's also in 049010. says 40 degrees in one spot and 50 degrees in another spot.
I'll admit it, I haven't reviewed it, or know these specs from architects.
I wasn't gonna read it. I promised myself not to read it, but I couldn't help myself.
Given the one that Marty brought up, this 1.09, you got spec in front of you? On this page 3 or 6. I'm just curious. I mean, that's probably apparently those question marks had something to do with this. Something was going to change here.
Yeah,
we were going to change it, right? That's what that tells me. That it's changing. It's something we're going to discuss. We should be discussing, right? A general construction base bid for all work specified in Division 2 through, like there's going to be more divisions, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah, I know what it means.
It makes it sound like there's Division 2 through something else. Like we could be adding.
I just.
109. Just a minute, let me-
It's about the 5th page in here. 1, 2. That's on the back side of number 4th page of the spec. Right on the bottom one.
Section number.
002131.
002131.
Yeah, page.
It's like the 4th page, Jim.
Oh, okay.
Section 1.09. It's those question marks, there's 5 question marks here.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why. It looked like maybe they were gonna fill it in and never got around to it or forgot about it. Maybe important, maybe it's not important, but
I would,
something.
Marty, I would guess by looking at this, if you go back to, well, page 3, from the title, which is the table of contents. Division 2 are existing conditions, and I would assume, but I don't know the final answer, so will
Maybe
have
they
to be
just went
checked
through
out.
Division 9 and just forgot to.
And there's a few more, Division 9, and I'm not sure if it includes all of those or not, so that's something that will need to be
I mean,
clarified.
with the clarification on that section and the clarification of the temperature, I make a motion to proceed.
Thank you, Marty. Yeah, let's see what we can find on them, Jim.
Yep, we will do that. Thank you.
Second for that?
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Katie. Brian, so you walked in just in time.
Just in time, Mayor.
So the next item on our agenda is the conduit bonding resolution that you brought forward for resolution number 0322-36. We do have a microphone up at the podium. Can you come up and just hold our hand through this and tell us what, do you need a copy of it or anything, or you're good?
No, it should be all right.
I mean, most of us don't even know what that is, so that'd be a good place to start.
Thanks, Mayor. So I think a good way to think about this is kind of, we're all familiar with the city acting as fiscal agents for different groups, whether it be the ATV groups or others, where having the city act on as an agent on behalf of a project allows some opportunity for different types of funding. This is the formal bond version of that same idea. And so the way that this works is St. Francis Health is undertaking a project, and part of their project is they're going to be expanding and renovating the property here in town, which that project is underway. And what they're looking to do is refinance some outstanding debt and kind of expand their funding. And they want to issue bonds to do it. And obviously they can't on their own issue bonds, so they need the city to step in and act as, what in the bond world is the equivalent of a fiscal agent. And so what it's called is a host or a conduit agent for the bonding. And the way that it works, it's all passed through to them. They will be responsible for repaying the entire amount of the funded debt. They will be responsible. Their credit is what supports it. The city doesn't take a hit in as far as our bond rating, or more importantly, for our purposes, our ability to borrow. So it doesn't affect our ability to bond. And then one of the things that we have to do is it's laid out in that
resolution is it would suit us very well to engage bond counsel. And as part of the agreement, the city would not be charged for bond counsel. Basically, St. Francis would pay for all of our costs in undertaking our role as a conduit agent. And so it doesn't affect the city financially. It doesn't impair our ability to continue with our own projects or to borrow, and it won't affect our bond rating. So really what it is they're asking us to act as essentially a fiscal agent to allow them access to different types of funding and different sources.
Do we review paperwork or anything in this? I mean, I would think if you're acting as like a fiscal agent, you're somehow supposed to babysit the handshake in the middle here somewhere. That's a lack of a proper terminology.
No, absolutely, Mayor. We're going to have volumes and volumes of paperwork, I trust. And that will all come from our bond counsel. And so I've actually been in contact with Ms. Thibodeau, who's out of the Frederickson firm, and we've talked a little bit about it. And essentially what this resolution does is it just gives them the thumbs up that we will, in fact, agree to act as the conduit agent, and then also appointing the law firm to act as our bond counsel. Once that step is undertaken and they see that we've authorized this, then Ms. Thibodeau will put together books and books of paperwork for us to review.
So we have expense in it.
Correct. And the other piece of it is by making this authorization, there will be other things that we can sign or that will be required to sign and approve as we move forward. This isn't approving every aspect of the project or of the financing. This is the first step to just authorize it and say we're in agreement to undertake this role, and we're appointing a certain firm to act as our bond counsel.
So what do we, I'm certainly not against doing it. I'm ecstatic that you're building onto that building. And I'm probably going to employ more people and stuff. So I mean, do we have some real costs here? I mean, some real hard costs for your time or whoever's doing all the legal jargon stuff to help them?
No, realistically, for my time, I would probably review the work that comes through from bond counsel. But that review is a fairly quick review, even though it's voluminous. There are certain places that I know that I should look, and so I'm not redrafting it. I'm not rewriting. We're not talking hours and hours of expense. The cost to the city in that regard is going to be fairly minimal.
Okay. Folks, any other questions? I tried to ask everything I could think of. So what you're looking for then is to adopt a resolution authorizing participation in the conduit bond financing and engaging bond counsel.
Correct.
I'd be looking for a motion to adopt that resolution, counsel. Or I would allow you to ask additional questions. Basically, the biggest things we're supporting them and we're not indebting ourselves in any way. So I make that motion. Thank you, Adam. Second for that.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Further discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Brian, for that. So the next item is under Eileen. It's under the boards of equalization. Our local Board of Appeals and Equalization meeting. County wants to schedule that for Tuesday, April 14th, 2022, from 4 to 5 p.m. in person at City Hall. We only need one trained council person, I found out today. Eileen showed me a packet that's actually she's going to get to us for the meeting, but it now says only one person. So she read that to me today, but it says two here, but we do have two nevertheless. And so, Eileen, you got anything to add?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll speak loudly so you can hear me. Yeah, it should be an actionable item. I did not select that on my memo. I sincerely apologize. Now, Mayor, thanks for your support today. We do have to We discussed the language. Mayor, help me out here. You have to hold a meeting. That's all I have to add. Oh, there's a couple of things I wanted to provide. Is that we won't know until we start receiving written appeals as far as if a recess will be required to a recess and reconvene will be required for our board meeting. But we have up to 20 calendar days to do that, to have a reconvene a meeting. Notices of valuations and classifications are mailed by the assessor at least 10 days prior to the scheduled LBA meeting. I also would like to know if council wants to, when they want to receive written appeals, as they're received or closer to the meeting date. Also, we'll be publishing and posting this meeting notice on March 23rd and March 30th. We'll post it at City Hall as well as on the city website. Hopefully you heard my message.
Thank you, Eileen. Okay, so just to get everybody up to speed, so if you forget, the local board of appeals and equalization, everybody's going to get their statement that tells what their property valuation is, and this is where you come and you dispute if you think your property value is correct. It sounds like this year we will be holding it in person at City Hall here on April 4th, 2022, 4 to 5 p.m. There will be a letter that goes out that'll be how you get your appeal in, or if you don't want to show up in person. Brian, as long as you're sitting there, if there is a recess, we can schedule the recess at the meeting, right? When we say, okay, well, we're going to need to meet one more time, we can schedule it right there during the meeting, or do we have to do it at a?
No, if you're recessing a meeting, you can recess the meeting from the meeting you're in.
Okay, good. Okay, good question. Okay. Yeah, because sometimes you have to have two meetings in order to, they want to look at the property. So they haven't, the county hasn't been going in buildings yet. They didn't go in this year. They walked around your house and ask you questions if you're breaking the yard or whatever. So looking for motion in council to schedule that local board of appeals and equalization annual meeting for Tuesday, April 14, 2022, 4 to 5 p.m. in City Hall right here.
It's my clarification, it's the 19th, yeah, not the 14th.
Oh, was it 19th? Okay, sorry. April 19th.
At least according to this sheet of paper, it's April 19th.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilmember
I think it is the 19th.
Yes, it is the 19th. My apologies.
Thank you. Great catch. Okay, so looking for a motion to hold that on April 19th at 4 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Travis. Second.
Support.
Thank you, Adam. Further discussion?
Not sure how everybody else feels, but I think if there are going to be appeals coming in, I'd probably like to see them when they are received.
Oh, rather than
too much, right?
Yeah.
I think in the past we have gotten a packet on it, so we had them a few days early, didn't we?
I personally don't have a preference, so.
We'll see how they come in. It's just, if we want them ahead of time, that's not an issue.
Yeah, they come into step anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, application from Jessica Martin to serve on the library board. We have 2 openings. This is the first.
We just skipped COVID.
Oh, I got the little check marks in the wrong place. I got to go back. Forget all this important stuff I was going to skip. Resolution number 0322-35. Extend COVID employee leave. God, we're almost done. An extra hour mixed in there.
At our January 12th meeting, we had decided to extend the 80 hours of COVID sick leave through March 31st. So we're bringing that back to the council. on what we would like to do moving forward, since we're in the month of March. I do want to add that we have had some employees use that sick leave for COVID positive cases.
I'll give you my opinion.
I was just gonna say, do you want to go first?
I'll give you my opinion. It's got to end at some point. However, you know, they're still recommending people take about 5 days off if you're sick. And until they quit making that recommendation, I think we should at least do that for our people, because if they're recommending that still, we don't want them here. So, you know, that's what I would say. Is that what it is, Stephanie? If it's 5 days?
Correct, yeah, that's the current guidance,
You know,
it's
so,
5 days. off work.
I don't know that I would go to, we're at 10, or we were at 10 last time, so.
Up to 80 hours is what we
Yeah,
were.
so I could go, I could go along with up to 40 hours right now if we want to go a little longer yet and see. But we'll open it up for everybody. Thoughts?
Oh, go ahead. I agree, you know, it does have to end sometime. We spent tens of thousands of dollars updating City Hall, you know, putting barriers up, helping people, you know, separating individuals from the public. So I just, we spent a lot of money trying to create plans and engineering ways to prevent the spread. But somebody leaves work and then goes to a concert, or they go on vacation, or they go into an airport. You know, if they catch COVID, or if they come down with it, and then it comes on the citizens to pay for their leave of absence, and we do let our employees stock a whole bunch of sick time, you know, so it's not like anyone's really hurting for it. I would support either, but I think that we do need to, you know, stop this, so.
Mayor, can I just clarify on how it's paid? It is currently being taken out of ARPA money, just so the council is aware of that.
Yeah, I guess my opinion is that, you know, I said in January when we talked about this, that the most I would vote for next time was 40, because the recommendation is 5 days. I would support that one more time, but I'm definitely on the edge of, we can use that money for other things too. So.
Thoughts from Cheyenne and Marty, as long as we're kicking it around? Might as well get the right motion.
Yeah, I could go with 5 days, 40 hours, if that's the current guidance. There's a need to go beyond that, since the employees do get other sick leave.
Yeah, like I said, we have some that are working in close quarters, and if they're sick, you hate to have them try to cover it up and come to work, because, you know, we don't need the whole city crew out. Cheyenne, you got thoughts?
Yes.
Many.
Is it gonna be a problem if you switched it right now, like in the meeting from 80 to 40 with the resolution written as it is? Can that be?
Okay. Would the proposal be that it would start April 1st? Because the current one we have now goes through goes through March 31st.
So this wouldn't start until April 1st at 40 hours? Okay, yeah, all right.
So why are you thinking you'd like to leave it at 80, or?
I just, my only thought for sticking with the 80 is if somebody is still sick after that 40 and their newer employees don't have that sick time built up. That's my only concern right now. But I also don't know what requirements we can put on it. Can we ask for a note from a physician? Or is that somewhere we just don't even want to touch?
If at this point for this, I mean, you're probably not gonna want to get too far into that. I mean, we could, but I'm not sure how far into that we want to get this.
So can I ask that's actually a good point. So what's our policy right now? After how many days do you have to have a doctor note? I mean, do we have?
For COVID
No,
positive?
just in general. if you're sick, let's say you're out for 3 days, do you need to have a doctor know? Like in my employment place, if I'm gone, if I use 3 sick days, I have to have a doctor know.
We don't have,
We don't have anything like
we
that?
don't have a current policy in place where you have to have a doctor's excuse for sickness. I mean, there's abuse of sick time, obviously, which is a whole different,
Right.
but for just, if somebody had the flu and was out for 5 days or something like that, no, we don't currently have a policy in place for that.
Okay, so
Which
then
makes sense.
with our COVID, do we require a positive
Yes,
before they can access the hours? Okay, that's fine.
and it has to be the employee that has the positive case.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion. Anyone? We'll vote on it. We got a 40, 40, 40, 80. We could end it any day. So let's vote on something.
Can you just put a timeline on that vote?
Yeah, what do you think in 3 months more? We'll revisit it.
I'd honestly like to go month by month. I know that's not great, but with the significant decrease that we've seen, if it continues to significantly decrease, then a month from now, I might have a different mindset. But again, I guess if we do 2 months, that's fine too. I think we did.
Well, we almost have 2 months right now, if you did it right now, because we got to the end of April. Right?
Well, no, the current one goes to the end of March.
Yeah, so it would be to the end of April. Yeah.
Yeah,
so we'd be-
right.
So you would have 6 weeks or whatever, 7 weeks, so.
Yeah.
So did you say it's paid for by the American?
We can use American Rescue Funds for it, yes.
Okay.
You know, and the other thing you could approve it until the guidance changes from the CDC as far as quarantine time. Because even if, you know, the cases lessen, if somebody gets COVID, the quarantine time is still the same until CDC changes it. Because our guide, what we go by is the guidance from CDC.
Yeah, I don't think that the guidance from CDC is gonna be 5 days quarantine forever.
You could do a timeline and or
Isn't
if
it?
CDC guidance changes or something of that
It
nature.
is for everything now. If you got a common cold, they want you to stay home for 5 days, right? So, I don't know, somebody make a motion, is that a motion, Travis, month, and we're gonna do it till the end of April, we're gonna do April for 40 hours?
Well, it would start till April
Right.
1st, right?
Yep.
Oh, end of May.
Yeah, I think I'd be okay with going with the end of May, I guess. So you want me to?
So you'd be extending it 2 months.
So we're just extending the COVID lead, but we're cutting it to 40 hours maximum until May 31st, 2022 at 11:59 p.m.
They're gonna call you 11:58, I got COVID. I'm still under the window, right? All right, so we have a motion, we're gonna extend it for additional 2 months, but at the end of March, it's gonna drop from 80 to 40
in May.
to the end of May. Second for that? Support. Support by Cheyenne. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Same sign. All right. Controlled substance and alcohol testing policy. I'll just let you go through these. Steph?
Sure. So the next 3 items on the agenda are all policies that we've been working with Ravina, our HR consultant, on. All of these policies have gone through department heads. They've all had a chance to provide feedback, and then changes have been made and brought back to the department heads. At this point, there hasn't been any additional changes requested on the policies. I just want to highlight on the substance abuse policy. There were pieces of that we were not doing that had come into place in 2020. So we have activated that for CDL drivers. There's a national clearinghouse that has been put into place within the city, and any drug or alcohol offenses that have not been resolved through appropriate substance abuse treatment. Also, all supervisors will go through training that we'll be using the DOT and OSHA materials to complete the training for substance abuse. Then we also have the harassment policy and technology acceptable use policy. All of these policies within the city have been updated, and these are updated ones. Pretty standard language in them.
So we look for motion to approve the controlled substance alcohol testing policy first. Who's looking for that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Adam, second for that.
Support.
Travis, further discussion?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Rick.
This has been issued for a long time, it was revised once. So why is it being brought back? I mean, it's already been approved years ago, right?
For which one are you referencing?
Well, I guess the first two. Unless I'm misunderstanding something here.
The policies that we currently have for the city are outdated. So these are updated policies.
Oh, can you say again which parts have changed? Because I have no way of knowing which changed, so I don't know what we're approving.
I guess I don't have it line itemed out. If you'd like me to do that, I can bring it back.
No, it's hard, unless we do the legwork ourselves and go look up the old versions, we can't see what changed.
So we did not have a technology acceptable use policy in the past.
So that's brand new?
Yes.
Okay.
And that includes, there's pieces on social media usage in that.
Okay.
The social media policy that we had in the past was just for maintaining our social media platforms.
Okay.
It wasn't conduct within social media. The controlled substance and alcohol testing policy, there were quite a bit of changes in there because we were out of compliance. There was the piece we added with National Clearinghouse.
Let's see, what page is that on?
With 38, I believe, starts. I'm sorry, 39 it starts.
Yeah.
But if you want a line by line, I would have to take it, I would have to go back and bring it back to council at our next meeting.
Stephanie, I think on the first two, we should do that. I mean, if you see, unless you see some urgency, I don't see an urgency here. And not necessarily red line, but at least have the second one.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fair to have the second one.
I was confused because that was already approved in 2014. I was wondering why we're approving it.
Yeah, I think
there's changes. I have no idea what the changes are. I can't tell.
Yeah, I think that's a fair request.
Or maybe let's go through this one and highlight.
Or underline a red line and strike out or whatever.
It's going to be quite a bit different.
They're completely, yeah.
Yeah, so it'd probably be better to just have.
They're quite a bit.
So have the old version and the new version side by side.
Okay. We can do that.
But how about the third one? The third one's almost completely new, isn't it? So how about council, we just,
did a lot of change on the second one? The harassment?
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, what changed.
I would have, like I said, I don't have it line by line out. I would have to.
Are you comfortable that the third one is relatively new? I mean, it's for the most part. So how about this? We'll take no action on the controlled substance and alcohol one and the harassment one. But let's look at a motion to approve the third one since it's a new. I'll speak.
My other question is.
Yeah, the harassment one was from 1993, so there will be.
There's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Updated. Okay.
Yeah. Things that, yeah, they definitely have changed, but I'll bring those two back.
My other question was, is this consistent with the union contracts, and has the union seen this, and are they, is there language about, termination things?
These are consistent with the union contract. Yes, I have not sent them to the union reps. But I can do that, I can.
Well, I think anything kind of issues of discipline and terminations, that the bargaining units are going to want to make sure they understand what the policy is. And
so how about we do this? How about we do this? These two policies that are actually all three of them. How about all three of them? We do send them to our bargaining units, and we bring back the 2 with the red line, so we can look at the difference. Let's bring them all back. Let's bring them all back.
So do you want him to go to our local union, to the president of our union, or to the?
Contracts.
I think bring them to the president of our unions, and if they want to present them to their, make sure they have them, so they can share their concerns with us when we bring them back to talk about next meeting.
Right.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
That way, when we approve them, we know they've had their chance to input on things.
I'm not against any of these policies. I just want to make sure we're transparent with ourselves as counselors and with our bargaining units. So
Well, what happens, we approve it, and then we end up changing it anyway after they.
right, if they have a big issue with something,
someone else will take it all up at one time. So let's bring them, get them to them, and then with the first 2 that are updates, we'll bring those back with these policies, and so we have a comparable. I think that's fair. Okay, no action on.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's been updated and what hasn't. I can't tell what's new and what's old, or what really changed. And I'm sure a lot of it has changed. Some hasn't. And Ravina is our HR consultant.
Yeah, and she has all the union contracts, so she goes by those too.
I'm sure.
Good.
I think it is a courtesy.
I'm just curious. Did she have any, when you were going over these with her, did she have any comments on the consensual relationships portion of the harassment one? And I'm just thinking, it says if there's a dating relationship, the employee is expected to inform their manager and city administrator. Is that normal practice? I mean,
That's actually was downsized quite a bit from her recommendation. It's when you get into the situation of staff dating subordinates, like employees, supervisors dating their subordinates. Yeah, actually the beginning, when we first started this process, that language was a lot stronger. So it's a lot.
And what if it's only one date?
I
mean,
I'm just curious.
You have to raise your hand. And
well, I don't.
Yourself.
Yeah, I'm just curious because we have the ambulance now, we have the fire department. I mean,
I think it's case by case scenario. I mean, in my opinion, there would be some discussion around if there's somebody dating their supervisor. That does become. Do you have anything to say on this?
Yeah, Brian, can you come up to talk? So Steve's now wrestling with the audio over here, no problem.
So with these, what traditionally we call non-factorization policies, I tend to agree with Administrator Scraba. I've seen a lot that are a lot more strongly worded. And really the big purpose of it, as cities and as employers, we don't want to delve into people's lives too far. But there's some value to the city and to management in knowing, well, number one, a lot of concerns arise when you have a supervisor in a relationship with somebody who they supervise. That creates a number of concerns. But even where it's not, and I've been involved in a number of situations where you'll have employees come in and there's just a very large amount of strange energy between them. And usually it's not the positive kind of energy. If things start to go wrong and there's essentially conflict that develops on the job site, with the disclosure that there is a pre-existing relationship or some sort of relationship, those things could be handled a little bit differently, or at least there's knowledge with management so that they know how to handle those things or know what may be going on, as opposed to a lot of bad situations that can develop. And so I have reviewed each of the 3 updates to the policy. There's nothing from a legal standpoint within that policy that creates any real problem or concern for me. It's basically a policy a policy level decision for the council.
Yeah, and I don't have an issue with it being in there. I just think there's a lot of questions that can come out of it. Like if I'm an employee for Larry and all of a sudden I am, dating a firefighter, at what point do I have to tell you? I mean, is it after the first date? Is it after the third date? Is it only a supervisor and supervisor's employee?
you know, I'm not against this at all. I just think that, you know, where do you draw the line?
And to a certain extent, a lot of that is, a lot of times it comes down to the perspective of the employees. I mean, if two employees go out and have a beer together at some point, and they could do it as friends, they could do it as a date. But I think that each of those employees, you kind of know it for yourself when you consider yourself to be in a relationship. And at least having the policy on the books, it would put it in the mind of the employees that when they each reach that point and when they feel that that's something that's happening, they'll at least know, hey, we're supposed to take this additional step and just disclose it to management so that we know.
So it's like an on your honor type of thing, I guess.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, we have some of these same ideas built into some of our union contracts with bereavement leave. Our union contracts represent or recognize bereavement leave for long-term partners or for significant others, they're defined. And essentially that's the same situation where an employee, in order to take advantage of that leave or to have access to that leave, has to disclose a significant other to management ahead of time. And so it's an idea that's to some extent already existing within the city's contracts.
Okay, yeah, like I said, I'm not against it. I just
Brian,
curious.
I hope the answer is yes to this. That includes us too, right?
Yes.
Sitting up here? Okay.
Yeah.
For all these policies. Okay. Okay, so we'll bring them, all three of them back. We'll clarify all of them.
Sounds good.
All right. All right, now we're back. All right, application from Jessica Martin for the library board. Recommendation would be to appoint Jessica to the library board.
Make a motion.
Or thank you, Cheyenne, and thank you, Adam. The only question I have, well, if they're not full terms, we'll give this first one the longest term. How's that? I don't know what that is. Is Margaret still on or no? She might not know that answer.
I do
Margaret,
not
do you
know
know
that.
if these are full terms?
I'm not, I think they are. Yeah, I believe so. I think they were 3-year terms.
I believe we have at least one 3-year
So
term.
we have motions for put Jessica on. Let's just, are you guys okay with if we have a full and a half or something, we'll give her the full one, we'll give the next person a half, and obviously we're not throwing them off when we're done anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, further discussion? Okay, all in favor on that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Application for Anna Hampel for the library board, so I'll make the recommendation, put Anna on there for full term, or if it's a partial, we'll take it up later. We'll get some feedback from Margaret.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Second.
Support.
Thank you, Adam. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. All right, request for football field for the wall that heals. What a beautiful thing. We have on with us, I think her name is Michelle Lampkin, right? And she's here with the United Way to talk about this. But as you may remember, we were trying to have this come to town last year, and with COVID, they had to cancel it. So this is actually great that they must have shifted the whole operation 1 year instead of trying to find us a new slot. So with that said, was Michelle planning to give us a little presentation? Is that what her thoughts were here?
Just here for questions.
Okay, so what did you, basically you have a letter here, they wanted, there's a lot that's gonna surround this thing. I can tell you the Vietnam, the veterans, our VFW, our American Legion, they have events all over around this thing. A lot of stipulations, which as you can see, they're starting at let me see, 12 a.m. on June 23rd for the public. It'll be available 24 hours a day. So that's kind of neat. I think they put like military people guarding it all night. there can be no noise in the area. Tammy's already on notice because rec starts that week and she knows she has to work around it a little bit for that first week. So anything else we can add there, Stephanie? I mean, it's a great thing. We certainly want to bring this in here. And like you said, Michelle is on if you have any questions about it, but we kind of looked at this last year and I think it's a great thing. And we have a lot of Vietnam veterans in this community. So
yeah,
great thing to support having this come here. So that'd be my recommendation to definitely move forward with allowing this to come to town.
I'll make that motion.
I think you have a second for that. Support. Thank you, Marty. Let me just look, access to 110, 220 hookups for utilities. That shouldn't be an issue. Per agreement for the city of Chisholm. They have portable restrooms, no big deal. We use 1 million of those a year. Garbage and recycling cans replacement, no problem. Lighting on a football field, we have that already. Any concerns you have?
no, Mayor, and Larry and myself haven't met with the United Way staff, so we have had the discussion with them too.
Okay.
And we didn't have any concerns.
Okay.
So for me, then I assume that we need to be off softball that week.
That is correct.
Okay. It looks like, now what about, it goes live on the 23rd, so can we play the 22nd?
That would be a question for Michelle. I do not believe so. I think because they do police escort and everything come into town, so I believe once it gets here, it has to be quiet. But if Michelle is there to answer that question.
I'm here.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi. Yes, so the wall will officially arrive Tuesday, early afternoon, and then it will be fully constructed on Wednesday, but they do ask that the area be quiet and respected of the wall starting on Tuesday.
Is that the 21st, then, Travis?
So softball for me would be the 22nd and 23rd, so we'll just have to be off that week.
But the Tuesday she's talking
Yeah,
about.
the
that's
21st, yeah.
Yeah, because they write 21st to 26th, so these rules basically apply for that whole period.
Okay.
So,
just to,
okay. Okay, so we do have a motion support to support this project and allow this thing, this memorial to come to town. So I think it's a great thing. There's no further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Okay, Stephanie, help me with this last item under the regular meeting here. So we got a whole list of bullet items on this all-class reunion letter. Declare citywide festival August 2nd, 7th. That's no big deal. Permission use senior center as a reunion headquarters. That's just coordination. Will not be setting up the reunion tent. So they want to use it for the whole thing, 2nd to the 7th. We got to ask the seniors to not be there. Okay. So that's coordination, no big deal. But permission to use Memorial Park for potential bocce ball, pickleball. Once again, scheduling, we got to make sure we close the park other than for their use at that point. Permission to use disc golf, we'll have to close it. Not a big deal. They can work around 1 week. City building inspector mandate to issue a conditional use permit for the use of the canteen above City Hall for an open house. Have you discussed that with her?
Look, which one? I'm sorry.
The canteen upstairs.
Yes.
Okay.
They're just gonna go up, look for 10 seconds to do an empty room and come down.
They're gonna put, I think they have like some memorabilia and stuff like that they're going to put up there from when they have the dances and some other stuff.
Okay.
They've had things set up there before for this.
Okay, good. Permission for 3D chalk artists to use this, no big deal there. That'll be neat. Kiwanis Park will be used for outdoor music. That's pretty straightforward. Permission to use electrical at street poles, no big deal. Permission to use walk trail along 9 for the 5K. We've done that every time, I think. Permission to use the Pocket Park, scheduling Dale Causeway for fireworks, right? So we'll have to probably Friday evening for the water see what to get the actual schedule when we get closer when it's closed. But is that it?
There's the back, there's the back.
What are our concerns?
I don't have a lot of concerns. We did meet, with the committee. Vern was there, Larry was there. We discussed the street closures. There is a little bit of concern on the availability with the police, but I think we have that figured out too. So, out of that meeting, none of us had any very alarming concerns.
Everything's still on the list, so you can want it all. All right. So we can approve it as one, we approved it all as one item. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Second for that.
One thing we did speak about, on number 18, the street cleaning after the parade. We did talk that that may not be feasible because there'll be people on the street, and the committee was okay with that.
They usually do it the next morning, I thought.
Yeah, so they wanted it after the parade before the street dance, but it's just probably not gonna be feasible to be able to come down with folks still in town, so.
Well, I wouldn't want it before the street dance, so they're just gonna have to do it again the next day anyway.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, that was, there was, but we did have that discussion.
And that'll be, 23rd hour decision, how that's all gonna work anyway. That's all just coordination. All right, so we have a motion by Cheyenne, second for that.
I did already.
You did already? Carl, on top of this. Further discussion? I'm looking forward to it again.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I'd like to see, it'll be fun. It's fun. They're always fun.
They are.
A lot of people you haven't seen in a long time if you've been around with it. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Okay, so now we're going to recess the closed session to develop a position on a property acquisition that we're looking into. Is that proper terminology, Brian? And I don't need a motion or anything to do that, or do I need a motion to recess?
Not to recess, but you would need a motion to move to closed session.
Okay, so I need a motion to move to a closed session, Counselor.
Motion.
Thank you, Adam.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so we'll clear everybody out. We'll go into closed session and we'll have it recorded for future reference. And we'll have to reconvene in the regular session here, so we'll be coming back live again at some point. We'll figure it out. I'm going to take 20 seconds. I'll be right back. discuss the possible purchasing a piece of property. Council has made a decision on it. With the results of the closed session, we have made a decision. We do want to make an offer on a piece of property. So I'll look for a motion to make that offer.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to direct Administrator Scraba to make an offer for the MLS listing 140060.
Thank you. Travis, is there a second for that?
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Council, any further discussions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed, same sign. Nothing. If there's nothing else, council, I would look for a motion to adjourn the regular meeting.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Adam. Second.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.